Hey guys, how's it going? It's Talamic here with DNB Academy, and today I want to take a look at a plugin that I've been really enjoying lately. It sort of condenses a bunch of plugins for me that I was using. So this is called Transit. It's by BabyAudio and Andrew Huang. It's essentially a transition tool, but it's a little bit broader than that. So when you open it up, by default it'll open up with a preset, but you can clear that just by clicking the erase chain over here, and every time we click on one of these modules there's a bunch of different options that we can use. So for example, if I throw in filter 12, we have a filter with a bunch of different filter types. We've got some resonance controls, a mix control, and a cutoff. And then if I turn this dial, you'll see these lines moving, and that kind of moves where the parameters are on that particular module. So if I solo, this is this kind of like tune that I've been working on recently. It's actually a remix. I've removed any kind of key elements just because the remix isn't out yet and I can't like give too much away, but I've got it on the drums here. So if I turn this up, you can hear that it's then adjusting the low pass filter on that. If I then switch that to example for a high pass, you can hear that we're then high passing the drums, right? And we can then make any adjustments to how this transition control dial affects each of those parameters. So for example, when I'm doing this kind of thing, I don't tend to mess too much with resonance, so I can turn the resonance down just by clicking that and adjusting it down. I tend to leave the mix on 100 and then use the cutoff control as a way of adjusting the filter rather than having the mix also dial in. And so if I want to completely remove any mix control, I can just click that dial there, and that will then turn, you see, motion off or motion on, and that basically removes the transition dial. So you can see we've got this line moving here on each one. It's hard to see on the resonance, but you can see it quite well on the cutoff there. But there's nothing moving on the mix, and we can sort of adjust the mix with an amount value underneath, so you can see that. You'll notice as I turn that up, it obviously turns on 100%. So where this was originally a low pass filter, it starts high and goes low, but because we've switched it to a high pass filter now, it starting high cuts all the sound off. So you can see this is pink as opposed to the green on the other side, and that just shows whether it's going up or down as we adjust this control. Pink means it's going down, green means it's going up. If I bring that back to there and then just make some more adjustments there, we can see now that it's green, I know that it's going to go up, and I can adjust that however I want. So let's say maybe 500 hertz. We just want to cut the real lows out. Nice, right? Cool, simple. You can adjust how it reacts to the transition control as well using the curve here. So I can make it so that it goes up faster, so that we can see that we're like, I don't know, 10-15% of the way across the dial, but it's most of the way up just because of the shape of the curve, right? Alternatively, we could adjust that so it's further down so that it won't make a big jump until right at the end. Like that. Kind of like that, but a little bit less drastic. Cool. There you go. So if I was then to automate this, we'll obviously add more modules, but let's just automate it. So configure, select that parameter, and then show automation, and then we just add this to, I don't know, perhaps this section here. And I always forget this. I'm so used to the way I used to before, where I would automate something like, I don't know, a quarter of the way up or something if it was a high pass filter. I forget that on Transit I actually need to go from 0 to 100 because I've already set those parameters in there. So there's that. Let's take a look at some more modules in here. So we've got a reverb module, for example. So the way that I used to do a lot of transitions was that I would have a high pass and then I'd have a reverb, or the other way around. I can move these modules around, so you can swap them just by dragging them, which I really like because there's a few of these plugins where you have everything lined up and you can't easily adjust. Obviously that's too much reverb, so let's turn that down. Nice. Maybe make it a little bright or a little duller, sorry. Cool. And then maybe some distortion. And there's so many of these, we'll go through a few, but I won't spend ages. So you've got your various different distortion types here. In fact, rather than adjusting the controls on that, let's add a low pass. Here we'll have the cutoff not go down as low, maybe down to like 3K. Low pass again. I don't want any resonance control, so we'll turn that down. Have that a little higher because we lost too much then. And I'm going to leave the mix dial on here just so that it kind of turns that low pass on as the brightness from the distortion comes in. We could maybe add some delay. We can adjust the different timings there. You can obviously turn sync on and off, and you can turn the tails on and off as well. So this is actually control on both the delay and the reverb. But it essentially means if I turn all the controls down, do the tails stop or start, as in like when the transition control goes back to 0, does the delay carry on? So you can hear it there. So it wasn't doing it before because the mix of the delay and the reverb was going all the way back down to 0 again. You can hear it here, the delay carries on over the top just then as it stops. So it's a little subtle, harder to hear, but it's more obvious on some elements than others. Let's try something a little bit more interesting. So let's look at pump. Pump could be a cool one. So this adds like a sidechain effect to the sound that you're working on. So if I set that to something really quick so you can hear it, and we'll turn it up to 100. Or let's try it slower, maybe it'll be more obvious. There you go, you can hear it there. Let's maybe try noise. Do a low pass noise. We'll turn the gain up slowly, cut off down a little bit, and let's turn that resonance right down. Gain needs to be down a little bit now. And let's maybe move this a little earlier in the chain. So if I move that there, let's move everything. Annoyingly, I can't like drop it in between two things, but we can easily do that instead. Nice. So that's how I'm using it in transitional situations. A situation I've also been finding myself using it is like for intro filtering as well. So back here we've got these drums. But everything's quite kind of toned down and the drums are slightly too bright. I like the rhythm, I like the sounds, but the kind of top end is a little bit much. I want to kind of lo-fi that sound. So let's drag in a new version. Here we go. I'm just going to switch it to the darker scheme because I like that more. Erase the chain. I'm going to turn the transition control up to 100 because that's how we're going to hear it. I'm not going to turn this up slightly and then turn it back down. I'm going to leave it at 100 for that section. And then we can start maybe bit crushing it slightly. 12-bit. Add a high pass filter. And this is it, like all of this is doable with separate plugins, but it's saved me so much time and space, like having it all together in one. So low pass. That's another slight gripe, is I can't have multiple of one module. Hopefully they'll update it. Maybe they have. I've not updated the plugin in a while, so maybe that's a feature now, but it isn't in this version that I'm using at the moment. So if they're watching this, BabyAudio, that would be a great feature, is to have multiple of a module. Ideally, multiple of a module and expandable, so you don't just have the 7 modules, you can have like, it will just keep growing, which I don't think it does. If I just use all of them. No, so there you go. So there's a couple of like little things that I wouldn't want to use, but here we go. So and we can then add a utility just to bring that gain back up to a more sensible level. And then we literally just automate that control up and down as I need. So for this intro, I do it, and then we literally just turn it off here. And then when the drums come in later on, you can also add like filler elements by bringing this one back again. One of the features that I like that I haven't really talked about, but we'll kind of cover briefly, is this randomize option. So if I put in, I don't know, like a couple of modules here, 2 filters, and then go to random lock in the top right, we can lock certain things. So let's lock the mix control, lock the cutoff, and we'll leave that filter unlocked and this one unlocked. I'll actually lock all these additional modules just so it's easier to kind of pay attention to what's going on. So the cutoff and the mix are 2 controls on this filter 12 that will not change, but everything else will change. So as I click randomize, you can see different things. The effect on this one is changing because you can see that I've got that unlocked, and the filter here isn't changing because we had that setting locked. And you can sort of adjust different random, add different random basically parameters, and then see how they work within your the context of your tune. So this can be a cool different thing. I've also tried it like doing some vocal effect stuff as well, like really kind of messing with vocals and adding some sort of weird stereo effect to the end of phrases and stuff like that, which can be really interesting as well. And generally, as I said, I appreciate that a lot of this can be done with other plugins, and if you're really tight on budget, then that's fair. What I found is it's just saved me so much like stacking of different plugins and getting irritated with automation of like different things. And sometimes like if I've got 5 different plugins doing a transition, later on I then find myself forgetting to automate, I don't know, one of the filters or some distortion or something, and so transitions begin to sound different, and then I start going back being like, you know, why is this bugging out essentially? And this helps to condense that. It's actually not a particularly expensive plugin either, and obviously, you know, sales and everything else make this more affordable. But yeah, Hopefully that helped and was interesting. Any questions, let us know, and I'll see you in the next one.